Welcome back, or maybe you never really left. Our story continues, and the door between the two worlds remains ajar. The girl has entered a place he never knew, a land of mystery where reality and dreams intertwine. Will the girl find a way out, or will she be lost in this world forever? If you're ready, brace yourself, because part 2 will take you deeper into the darkness.
The days by the lake passed slowly, as calm as a still stream. The girl no longer counted the time. She didn't know how long she had been there, a week, 2 weeks, maybe more. No one mentioned it. Elias didn't ask when she would leave, and she didn't rush to find out. Each day brought something new, however small. She learned how to make a fire with dry logs, learned to distinguish the leaves in the small forest behind the house, and watched Elias tend the garden as if he were talking to it. But no matter how peaceful it was, there were nights when she couldn't sleep. She often sat on the porch, looking out at the dark lake like a giant mirror reflecting the sky. Sometimes she wondered, was this the life she really wanted? Or was this just a brief dream before she had to return to reality? Elias seemed to sense it. One evening, as she was quietly gazing up at the sky, he sat down beside her, slowly placing a cup of tea in her hands. "Why aren't you asleep yet?"
I don't know.
She replied, her voice quiet.
I thought I had found peace, but something wasn't enough.
Elias wasn't surprised. He just looked out at the lake, where the moonlight was rippling on the water. Because your journey isn't over. The girl turned to look at him.
I thought I had stopped.
Elias chuckled. Stopping doesn't mean you've arrived. Sometimes we need a place to rest before we can continue. She was silent. A light breeze blew by, carrying the scent of wild grass and the cool mist from the lake.
Have you ever felt like this?
She asked. Elias nodded, his eyes shining with a distant look. Years ago, I thought I had found the answer. I left the city, came to this place, lived a simple life. But then I realized it wasn't that I found the answer. It was that I learned to live without it. The girl frowned.
No answer.
That's right. Elias nodded. Because sometimes what we need isn't an answer, but a path. The girl lowered her head, looking at the cup of tea in her hand. The warmth from the cup seemed to spread into her palm, then deep inside her. Maybe. Elias was right. She didn't need to rush to find a reason to stay or leave. She just needed to continue. Continue to observe, continue to listen, and continue to let her heart explore freely. And so the girl decided not to leave. Not yet. Outside, the lake was still calm, like a mirror reflecting the sky. And somewhere in the night, a gentle breeze blew, like a whisper of the unknown, waiting ahead. The night sky spread out like a black velvet curtain, painted with countless twinkling stars. The space around the lake was quiet, with only the sound of the wind blowing through the trees and the sound of water lapping against the shore. The girl sat on the porch, her eyes turned to the lake, where the moonlight reflected shimmeringly on the water. But tonight, There was something different. On the other side of the lake, a small light flickered in the darkness. It was as dim as a star that had fallen to the ground, standing still in the quiet night. The girl frowned. Since arriving here, she had never seen any sign of humans other than Elias. This place, as far as she knew, had only a wooden house and an endless silence. So, where did that light come from? It did not blink, did not move. It just stood still like an invitation, like a vague signal ringing in the dark night. A strange feeling crept up on her, a curiosity and an invisible urge. She had heard Elias tell many stories about this land, but he had never mentioned anyone else living around the lake. Was this a secret he had never told? Or had she simply never noticed it before? The girl took a slow, deep breath, feeling the cold night air fill her chest. Something in her heart told her that the light was no accident. It was as if it had always been there, just waiting for her to notice its presence. Part of her wanted to immediately cross the lake, find the place, and discover the truth, but another part hesitated. She didn't know what she would find on the other side of the darkness, a stranger. Or was it just a trick of the light, an illusion drawn by her own mind? Time passed, and the light did not disappear. It was like a pair of eyes silently observing, a silent call. The girl knew that, even if she didn't go towards it tonight, one day she would have to face her own curiosity. Because once she saw it, she couldn't pretend she never knew. The night sky was still quiet, the lake was still calm, but somewhere in the wind, something had just changed. And she knew that this story wasn't over yet. That night, the girl could not sleep. The image of the light across the lake repeated itself in her mind like a familiar but unexplained melody. It was more than a light, it was a signal, something waiting. But what? And why now? The wind from the porch carried the cold mist from the lake, making her shiver. She looked toward Elias, but he was fast asleep, breathing evenly in the small room. If anyone knew about the light, it was surely him. But why had he never mentioned it? She sat on the edge of the bed for a long moment, then decided. She could wait no longer. Her footsteps slid lightly across the wooden floor, careful not to make a sound. The wooden door opened silently, the only sound being the wind whispering through the trees. She wrapped her coat tightly around herself and stepped outside. The dark lake reflected the starry sky. The path around the lake was unclear, lit only by the faint moonlight. She walked slowly, feeling the damp ground beneath her feet, the leaves rustling as she passed. The lamp was still there, not flickering, not wavering, as if it knew she was coming. As she walked, she felt something strange. The air seemed to grow quieter. No more crickets, no more rustling leaves. Just her breathing and the steady sound of her footsteps on the wet path. Then she stopped. Right in front of her, in the middle of the woods by the lake, was a small house. Right in front of her, in the middle of the woods by the lake, was a small house. This house couldn't exist. She had walked around the lake many times and had never seen any trace of it. But tonight, it stood there, as if it had always been there. An old wooden house with rotten steps and dark windows. The light she saw was actually an oil lamp sitting on the windowsill. Her heart pounded. Someone was here. Part of her wanted to turn back immediately, but another part was drawn to the mystery. She stepped closer. The wooden door creaked as she touched it. It was unlocked. A strange feeling washed over her, as if she shouldn't be here, but at the same time, as if this place had been waiting for her all along. She took a deep breath, then pushed the door open and entered. It was pitch black inside. There was no sign of life, but there was no dust or cobwebs either. It was as if someone had been here just hours ago. She took another step, and the door behind her slammed shut. A loud bang shattered the silence of the forest. She spun around, her heart pounding. And then a whisper echoed in the darkness. Someone or something is here, and it knows she has arrived.
Every mystery has an answer, but will the girl really find the answer, or will she just fall deeper into the fog of the unknown? The story isn't over yet, just another chapter closed. But don't worry, because the door is still there waiting to open again. If you want to know what happens next, stay tuned and prepare yourself, because what's coming may be beyond your imagination. See you in the next part. But be careful. Sometimes when you look too deep into the darkness looks back at you.